रामा विहारी
कुंज बिहारी
गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यमुना तीरा वनचारी
वनचारी
यमुना तीरा वनचारी
यमुना तीर वनचारी
राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे पाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की all glories to assemble devotees, all glories to assemble devotees, all glories to assemble devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya चक्षुर्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमामो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्पुषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। From today, I am starting a series called Golden Bhaktivedanta Purports. So I am starting from Vishal Nagar only. So this will be selected shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, which have very special purports. Basically, I will just read proper purports and a little bit elaborate on that. So let us recite the first verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. जन्माद्यस्य यथोन्वयादितरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। Two Prabhujis, two Matajis can recite. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadyasya idharadasthatesha vignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surayah. Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadyasya yathonvayati taratashcharteshvabhignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surayah. Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Matajis. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. जन्माद्यस्य यथोन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय जन्माद्यस्य यथोन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि Om, O my Lord, Namaha, offering my obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudevaya, unto Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, our Lord Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord, Janmadi, creation, sustenance and destruction, Asya, of the manifested universes, Yataha, from whom, Anvayat, directly, Itarataha, indirectly, Cha, and Arteshu, purposes, Avijnaha, fully cognizant, Swarat, fully independent, Tene, imparted, Brahma, the Vedic knowledge, Hrida, consciousness of the heart, Yaha, one who, Adikavaye, unto the original created being, Muhyanti, or illusioned, yet about whom, Suryaha, great sages and demigods, Tejaha, fire, Vari, water, Mridam, earth, Yatha, as much as, Vinimayaha, action and reaction, Yatra, whereupon, Trisargaha, three modes of creation, creative faculties, Amrisha, almost factual, Dhamna, along with all transcendental paraphernalia, Svena, self-sufficiently, Sada, always, Nirasta, negation by absence, Kuhakam, illusion, Satyam, truth, Param, absolute, Dhimahi, I do meditate upon. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because He is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and He is independent because there is no other cause beyond Him. It is He only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By Him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of Him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon Him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon Him, for He is the absolute truth. You see this verse, Om, Krishna says, Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. I am the Pranava in all the Vedas. Prabhupada says, if all the Vedas have to be put in one word, what is that word? Om, he says. If all the different expansions of the Lord as Matsya Kurma Varaha Narasimha, and also has many types of Vishnus, Purushavasaras, uh, many avatars, 6 types of avatars. They all have to be put in one ultimate, uh, one avatar you have to take. He says that is Krishna. Because Krishna is the source of all the avatars, the fountainhead of avatars. So, therefore, Om is also Krishna, but it is an impersonal representation of Krishna. And he says, Namo, I bow down. Bhagavate, as soon as the word Bhaga comes, immediately there are 6 opulences. Shadaishwarya Purna Krishna Hoya Suryopama, it is said. He is like the full blown sun, Suryopama, and we are like a Surya Kiran. So Bhagavate is full in 6 opulences. And what is his name? Vasudevaya. His name is Vasudev. Why he got the name Vasudev? Because he resides in the heart of all living beings. Vas plus Dev is Vasudev. Also a son of Vasudev. So, just like we address the Prime Minister of our country, similarly if we say Om, it's like saying, oh, government. Bhagavate means Prime Minister in Parliament. And Vasudevaya means like Narendra Modi, like that. And you get personal, more and more personal, from impersonal to personal. Correct? No? And then see the first line, the definition of God is explained. Janmadhyasayataha, very simple definition. The source of everything that exists. And then Anvyat itartash cha arteshu abhigyan. And that's the second phrase, which means he directly and indirectly is fully cognizant of everyone and everything. That is his prowess. His jnana, bala, teja, aishwarya, shakti, all those different things which are said. In this, his jnana is so oceanic that he knows about everyone and everything indirectly and directly. We only know directly when you put your morsel of food in the mouth, you know you are eating, but you don't know what is happening inside. You don't know when the baby tooth falls and permanent tooth comes. You can't know that, but he is fully cognizant. And another word used is Swarat, means he is fully independent. He is not controlled by anybody. So Srila Prabhupada will say in the purport how the definition of God is complete in this verse. Unlike most people's understanding of God, there was one rabbi, his son got a disease called progeria. This progeria is a disease where a small boy will become like an old man. A 10-year-old boy will be like a 90-year-old man. So irreversibly the disease increased. And so the father or the priest was disturbed. So there was a lot of discussion amongst the religious people. So some of them said, God is very merciful, but he is not sufficiently powerful because he could not stop this disease of your son. Either they said. So some people said, no, God is very powerful, but he is not merciful enough. If he was merciful, with his power, he would have made your son, healthier, like that. But His Grace Ravindra Swara Prabhu wrote an article where he said, God is all powerful, he is also all merciful, but these fellows didn't know that he is all knowing also. He is all knowing. Therefore, he knows what is to be given to whom, based on one's karma. So, therefore, Abhijna means he is all knowing. Swarat means he is uncontrollable, he is supremely independent. And the second line talks about how that Supreme Lord Vasudev hands over the knowledge to Brahma. And the Hrida, in the heart of the Adikavi Brahma, he gives the Vedic knowledge called Brahma. Brahma itself means Vedic knowledge. Like we say, Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi, Brahmakshara Samudbhavam. So Karma Brahma means the Vedic wisdom. So he gives the Vedic wisdom in the heart of Brahma, who is called Adikavi. And Muhyanti Yat Sureha means even the demigods and great sages will be bewildered in understanding him, which means don't try to understand him with your own speculation. Learn about him from the Vedic wisdom he handed over to Brahma. That's the meaning. Don't use your senses to understand him. Understand him from the Shabda Brahma only. That is the warning for us. Otherwise, nobody can ascertain truth about him. And Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisagomsha talks about the illusion in the material world. Third line. Tejo means fire, Vari means water, Mridam means mud. So Tejo, Vari, Mridam, these are all material elements. But when those material elements are Vinimayo, when in this world they are all combined together and made into multiple objects, namely the 8.4 million species of life, and also the 14 planetary systems, and the display of the threefold miseries, which is display of the threefold material nature, which is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. When you combine the substances, then that can thoroughly bewilder even great sages also. Yeah, he says, even they get bewildered seeing the display of the three gunas. For example, you have a watercolor box along with a brush. If you keep, nobody is going to get any emotions by seeing that. But if you take the watercolor and throw it on a canvas and draw it, whatever picture you draw, that picture is going to evoke some emotions. Like here behind me, there's a Kusum Sarovar. You can see that Radhakunj Bihari is on one side, Prabhupada on the other side, correct? It immediately evokes feelings of being in Vrindavan, correct? Immediately. Similarly, somebody has made a beautiful arch behind Gaurnitai, correct? No? Very beautiful flowers and everything, very appealing to. So it evokes feelings when you see something, some nice drawing, combining the colors. Like if you see somebody has drawn a picture of a beggar with a begging board, like that. So immediately what emotion comes? Compassion comes, yeah. Or somebody draws a line diagram or something of man and woman embracing, doing some activity. Immediately it evokes lusty feelings. So when you combine the colors, it produces feelings. But if you keep it in a watercolor box, it doesn't produce any feeling. That's what he's saying. That this Tejo, Vari, Mridam, all of them are matter. But when you combine this matter and make combinations of it, using the three gunas, and combined with three gunas, then that bewilders even sages like Vishwamitra and Saubhari Muni and all these people, like that he says. Which means, yes, indeed, in this world, nobody is so powerful that they cannot be subjected to illusion. But by taking shelter of Vasudev alone, one can surpass this illusion. That's why it is said. And then, what about Lord Vasudeva? Dhamna, Svena, Sada, Nirasta Kuhakam, Satyam Param Dhimahi. He is the absolute truth, residing in his own abode, and that abode is not subjected to this illusion. That's the meaning. What is said in the third line, that is only applicable to the material existence, not to the spiritual existence. And spiritual existence is always free from this type of magical display of Maya Shakti. Nobody can be bewildered in the spiritual world because they are in touch with Lord Vasudeva. That is what the purport of Prabhupada. And we can read this first paragraph.
Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudev directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudev and Devaki.
See, Godhead means he is the head of all the 33 crore devatas. And personality means he is not impersonal. He has a beautiful form. Yeah, and his name is Vasudev. Sometimes impersonalists also use the word Vasudev in an impersonal sense. Or Vishnu means all pervading. They use. Therefore, Prabhupada wants to clarify Vasudev is not impersonal, he is personality of Godhead. Yeah, and it directly indicates none other than Krishna, son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Yeah.
This fact will be more explicitly explained later in the text of this work, when Sri Vyasadeva directly asserts that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all others are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha. And Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In an Upanishad in the Samaveda, it is also stated that Lord Shri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki.
So you will see in Prabhupada's purports, he gives references which he wants us to go and refer. Like he's giving Jiva Goswami, he's giving Brahma Samhita, he's giving Samaveda, the Upanishad, Brahmanyo Devaki Putraha. Chandogya Upanishad says that. So he quotes all these things so that we can get more references and study them in detail. But I have decided that in my talks on Bhaktivedanta, the golden purports, I will restrict only to Prabhupada purports. Yeah.
Therefore, in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Shri Krishna is the primeval Lord. And if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all attractive.
So the word primeval Lord is used, Adi Purusha. So this is a very important word, a primeval Lord, because spiritual life begins from this point, where Jiva, recognizing his spiritual blindness, goes to a guru and surrenders at his lotus feet. Like he says, Dharma Sammuda Cheta. Arjuna said, I am Dharma Sammuda Cheta, therefore I am becoming Shishyaste Aham Shadimam Pam Prapannam. So then what is the first knowledge given by Guru to the disciple? The first knowledge is about the source of all existence, the Adi Purusha, which is called as he says here, Vasudeva or Krishna. So, without confidently accepting this truth, all the so-called spiritual activities will be eyewash. They are not very helpful. There are so many things we do, but those things cannot make much sense. For example, many people come to ISKCON temples for chilling out or relaxing. They want some relief, people come. Some people like prasad. Some people like music. Some people like cultural activities. Some people are looking for some good advice or good habits. None of these things are useful if it is disconnected from the Supreme Lord. For example, say you make a plan to go to one place. First, you have to ascertain which is the place you want to go. Say you decide that we want to go to Yatra to Mayapur. Once you fix that place, then you can make a ticket to go there. Then you can plan which all places we will visit in Mayapur. And where will we be accommodated, what prasadam be arranged, and what are benefits we can take, we can avail of that. But if the place is not fixed, if somebody thinks that no, we can go anywhere we want, then the plan only doesn't begin. It doesn't take off. So therefore, the Adi Purusha, you pin down the Adi Purusha first. I am convinced that this is Adi Purusha. Then you start your spiritual life. Therefore, Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita introduction, at least theoretically one must accept Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead when you are beginning the spiritual life. If one theoretically has even doubts about this, then one doesn't even progress 1 inch ahead also. So that's why as soon as it begins the purport, he says here, the first proposition holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, he says, Adi Purusha. And this is repeatedly spoken by various devotees. Kuntimanan is saying, Namasye Purusham tu Adyam. Arjuna is saying, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adi Deva, he says. Brahmaji is saying, Ishwaraha, Parama, Krishna, Satchidananda, Vigraha, Anadir, Adir, Govinda. Nagapatni is saying, Pamevam, Adya Purusha Purana. We can quote many words. And Bhishma is saying, Yesha Vai Bhagavan Sakshat Adyo Narayana Puman. See the word Adi, everywhere it comes. Adi means before anything started, he is the person who existed. There is nobody besides him, he is the one. Aham evasam evagre, he says. Nanyat sadasat param. Aham eva asam. Agre. The beginning, when nothing else existed, I alone existed, he says that. So therefore, we should begin our spiritual life with acceptance of that one supreme deity, Sri Krishna, Supreme Lord, from whom everything emanates, in whom everything rests, by whose desire, everything functions. Everything revolves around him. Just like we say solar system, all planets revolve around the sun. Similarly, everything in this world revolves around him. That's why Prabhupada begins with this. And then, which means Krishna means he is all attractive. Go ahead.
In the Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead, and this is confirmed by Arjuna, who also cites great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Puran,
That is the verse we said, Asito Devalo Vyaso Swayam Chaiva Pravishime. So there you will find Arjuna is calling Krishna as God, but not out of some friendly sentiment. He is saying that, why am I calling you God, Krishna? Because he says that, many sages like Asito Devala Vyasa Swayam Chaiva Pravishime, Narada, Vyasa, Asita, Devala, such great learned rishis are calling you as Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Swayam Chaiva Pravishime, even you yourself have declared to me that you are God. Then what more evidence do I want? I am convinced. Sarvame tat ritam manye. All the truths you have spoken to me, I totally accept them. Like that he says. So Prabhupada quotes that. Yeah. Then in the Padma Purana,
in the Padma Puran, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name Krishna is the principal one. Although the name Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and although all the different forms of the Lord, being identical with Vasudeva, are thus indicated in this text, the name Vasudeva particularly indicates Krishna, the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, who are the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life.
actually Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. You know these four forms. Vasudev is the Lord of our Chitta. Then Sankarshan is the Lord of the ego. And Sankarshan, Pradyumna is the Lord of the intelligence. And Aniruddha is the Lord of mind. So, yes, it is true, these four personalities are mentioned, but when we say Vasudev in this verse, it talks about the original Lord, Krishna, who later on expands as quadruples and others. And also he says here, Kuntimanani says, Prabhupada repeats that, Tata Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham Katam Pashyema Histriya. So he's quoting that, Tata Paramahamsana. And the Paramahamsas, who are they? Just like a Hans Pakshi only draws milk out of a liquid where there is a mixture of water and liquid. It only takes milk and leaves the water behind. Just like when you have milk, they put something in that, immediately it forms paneer. And the other water is thrown out. Correct, no? Similarly, the Hans Pakshi has something in the mouth, something like an acidic thing. It puts it immediately, it can extract only the milk. It leaves the water. Similarly, even in this material world, Vaishnavas are Saragrahi. They know how to find out Krishna and take only Krishna element, and unwanted elements they can give it up. That's what he is saying. They are meditating on Krishna always. Yeah, next para.
Vasudeva, Lord Shri Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord.
From here he begins. What is the first line? Janmadhyasya yataha. Anybody asks you, you people are all spiritualists, what is the basis of all your practice? You should say, Janmadhyasya yataha. God is one from whom everything emanates. Even Einstein's brain, Einstein didn't create. God gave him the brain. No living entity has any faculties or any abilities on his own. Everything is drawn from the Lord. He is the cause of all causes, the source of everything. So that's what the first line Prabhupada is going to explain now. Go ahead.
How this is so is explained in later chapters of this work. This work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as the spotless Puran because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna.
That later chapters of this work, there is one chapter called Cause of All Causes. in the second canto. What is the chapter number? Fifth. Huh? And there is one chapter called Cause of All Causes. Second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Narada boy is asking his father, huh, my dear father, when I look at this creation, everything appears to be in your grip, like a amalakavat vishwam, vijnana avasitam tava. He's saying that like amalaka fruit in your hand, everything you are only managing, you are controlling. It seems to me that you are God. He told him, what is the chapter number? Fifth chapter, yeah. Second canto, fifth chapter. Cause of all causes. So he's asking him, well, what is the cause of all causes? What is the source of everything? Are you the ultimate God? So Brahma simultaneously chastises him and thanks him also. Have you ever done that to anybody? Huh? Why he chastised him? Why are you calling me God? Only foolish people call me God. And then he praised him because you reminded me of my master, Lord Vasudev. Like that he says. So in this, that's what Prabhupada is saying. This work, it will be described, cause of all causes will be described in the later chapters, in the second canto. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls this Purana as a Amalam Puranam. What is that famous verse? Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan. That's what he is saying. Now, why it's called as Amala? Mala means stool. Amala means that which is pure. Now, what is that Mala that is found in other Puranas, which is not in Bhagavatam? Other Puranas teach you how to make this material world more comfortable. Bhagavad Purana teaches you how to go from material world to spiritual world. That's the main difference between these two. Other Puranas teach you how to go from C class jail to B class jail or B class jail to A class jail. And Bhagavad teaches you how to get out of the jail. So is it not ordinary? Is it not very extra special? It stands out from the other Puranas. You can put all Puranas in one side and Bhagavad stands out from that. That's why he's saying that it is actually called Amalam Purana. Another reason why it is called as Amalam Purana is because all the other Puranas, you will read in Bhagavatam itself, there is one shloka which says, if you want a handsome body, you should go to this god. If you want this, you go to that god. Long list is given. If you want wealth, go to Lakshmi. If you want education, go to Saraswati and all that. At the end, it says, if you want to end the material existence and go back to Godhead, worship Vasudeva. Bhagavatam clearly says that. So, another meaning of Amalam is that, like Dhruva Maharaj, when he went to forest, he had some material desire for Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim, and that got cleansed by seeing Lord Vasudeva. Which means the devotees of Vasudeva are pure-hearted devotees whose heart is ruled only by love, nothing else. Love is the only exchange between Lord and his devotees. Whereas with demigods, many people do business with demigods. I will give you this and you give me that. That's the mala. Yeah, go ahead.
The history of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Sri Vyasadeva after he had attained maturity in transcendental knowledge. He wrote this under the instructions of Sri Naradji, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all Vedic literatures containing the 4 divisions of the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras or the Brahma Sutras, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Shri Krishna. These transcendental activities are described specifically in the Bhagavatam's 10th canto, which is considered its substance.
Yeah. So Narada told Vedavyas that anything other than Vasudeva you describe, that will actually disturb your mind and body. It is exactly like a boat in an ocean which is not anchored. The boat is going to be swept away by the wind. So there are many self-help books, many courses offered by many motivational talkers in this world. But all those things are like blowing on a boil. They don't give you medicine to cure the boil. Imagine if I have a boil, my sister tells me that now, oh, you are feeling pain, don't worry. They blow like this. Is it helpful or not? Helpful temporarily. But how long can she keep blowing? Huh? Isn't it? And if she tells me, don't go to doctor, it will be paining, doctor may cut the boil or something. Don't go. But ultimate solution is to cure the boil or blow on the boil. So all the Puranas teach you how to blow on the boil. Bhagavatam teaches you how to cure the boil. It's called as one-stroke solution. So therefore, Narada told Vedavyasa, you have written all Puranas, still you are so sad. If you are so sad after writing them, what about those who study them? How will they be happy? Isn't it? So he said, better you glorify the Lord, Supreme Lord Vasudeva directly, without any compromise. He said, that's what he said, that Bhavata Anudita Prayam. So you should describe unadulterated glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unadulterated, he said. He said, which is, even Vedavyas also could guess the problem. He said, Yat Vaishnavanam Priyam. The glories of Vasudeva is very dear to Vaishnavas, which I have not sufficiently described. So the purpose of Narada Vyasa meeting and Vyasadeva admitting his despondency should not be seen as any weakness of Vyasadeva. It should be seen as a glory, because this conversation is kept in Bhagavatam to illustrate the greatness of Bhagavatam. Because when great devotees lament, it's not ordinary. See, Dhruva's lamentation is spoken in Bhagavatam also. It's glorified because he became a pure devotee after the lamentation. Correct, no? The lamentation purified his heart. Vyasadeva's lamentation led to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Arjuna's lamentation led to Bhagavad Gita. And Yudhishthira's lamentation led to Vishnu Sahasranama. Isn't it? You will see that Devhuti's lamentation led to Kapila Shiksha. You will see that. So, whenever great devotees lament, something great comes out. When conditioned soul laments, he only is going down in a downward spiral of hopelessness, correct, no? Which is Tamaguna. That's the difference. Yeah, go ahead.
But in order to reach the very substance, one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the order
Of the categories.
Of the categories.
Yeah. So, but in order to reach the very substance, the very substance is 10th canto. He says here, if you see here he says that the transcendental activities of Lord are described specifically in which canto? 10th canto. But in order to reach the very substance is that one, 10th canto. One must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. What are those categories? Beginning with Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, Uti, Ishanugata, Manvantara, Nirodha, Mukti. And the 10th canto is Ashraya. Before you go to Ashraya, those 9 topics also should not be neglected. It is like, first you learn alphabets, then you learn words, then you learn prose order sentence. Then you can write poems, correct, no? So 10th canto is like a poem. Directly one should not try to write poems. Sometimes, nowadays, boys also want to write poems. So they want to make sure the rhythm comes on the right side. So they put any words to get the rhythm. I used to tell them, rhythm alone is not enough. The meaning also should come. So don't try to write poem directly. Don't go to 10th canto directly. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. Step by step you go. Yeah.
It is natural that a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of the creation.
Again, Janmadhya Seta is Prabhupada is elaborating now. Yeah.
At night, he sees the stars in the sky and he naturally speculates about their inhabitants. Such inquiries are natural for man because man has a developed consciousness which is higher than that of the animals. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries. He says that the Lord Shri Krishna is the origin of all creations. He is not only the creator of the universe, but the destroyer as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. It is maintained for some time and then it is annihilated by His will. Therefore, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in a creator, but that is due to a poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, these satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time at the control of the scientist, who is far away. Similarly, all the universes with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the personality of God.
Yeah. Prabhupada is first of all talking about the difference between animal and human. You will see that humans have come up with this scientific research. What is the goal of scientific research? If you see, 5-6 reasons we can give. One reason is the science wants to find out or figure out what is that world in which we are living in. Why are these things created? What is existing around us? And why do they want to study it? They try to go to different places, see different things. For example, they're using telescopes, they are finding out about other planets and also other parts of the earth. They are studying about the biology, like African safari, if you see. They study the animals, birds, aquatics, different kinds of creatures. In botany, they study about different type of plants. And in astronomy, you find different type of planets. So why are they trying to figure out all these things? One of the goals is that how can these things be used to our advantage? They can actually make our lives more happier. Correct, no? That is one of the goals of science. Another goal of science is to save ourselves from any dangers that may be existing in this world. So there are, like for example, UV radiation is coming. It is coming from the sun. Of course, there is also a ozone layer which is preventing it. So what are the things that are existing around us which can be dangerous? Like for example, certain elements are dangerous, certain elements are good. Even in botany also, some are edible, some are not edible. So one of the reasons in science is they want to find out how to avoid dangers and how to keep our lives healthy and peaceful. In that connection, they are also advancing in the medical field, finding out various medicines to stop the diseases or at least resist the diseases and also try to prolong life. That's one of the researches of science. Another purpose of scientific research is sheer knowledge itself. They want to get knowledge about things so that once you have knowledge, knowledge is power. Correct, no? Things can be under your control if you are in knowledge. That's another purpose of science. And another purpose of science is to utilize the nature to produce comforts. Like for example, now electricity, Faraday found out. With that, there are another 3,000 applications you have. You have the motor, you have the fan, so many things you can do with that. Correct, no? With that one pure science research, you can take it and make it into 1,000 applications. Correct. So that's one thing they also want to do. And also scientific research in different places. Now they are trying to know more about Mars. One fellow has declared actually that he has asked people to register their names for going to Mars. He said it's a one-way trip only. They are not going to come back. And 20,000 people have registered with him. Yeah. And he's saying we will take a rocket and go there and settle there. And they are hoping that the conditions will be better than Earth. Because they know that in Earth, they are having food scarcity or they are having, old age, disease, death and all these things. They're looking for another planet where they can offset the old age, disease, death, and they can live much longer duration of lives, much happier lives. These are goals of science. Now, with all these plans and desires in science, the modern scientists are trying to research and find out the cause of all causes. At one time, scientists declared that this universe doesn't need a cause, they said. Why? Because it is existing forever. And that way, they could propagate atheism for some time. After which, scientists only found out through the carbon-nitrogen cycle that this universe was created at a certain point of time. In physics, you will study. It was created. So, okay, then they said it has come from singularity, the whole universe sprung up. Then the question comes, Who created? As soon as the universe is created, what is the next question? Who created? Who is the creator of the universe? And again, science was subjected to challenge now. They could not answer that question. They tried to give, there are more than 20 theories on a source of everything. One of them is Big Bang, but none of them is accepted by any of the scientists. None of those theories. You can see that if you go to Google search and put source of everything or origin of universe, they will give all the theories. They say that this was rejected because of this. This was rejected because of that. They don't have any answer at all. It's a even Stephen Hawking. He had made way back in the beginning of 2000 that I will give a differential equation which boys can wear in their t-shirts. It's called GUT. They call it GUT theory, Grand Unified Theory. Only one differential equation which can answer everything in the creation. Now in 2018, he said that I thought the universe is very simple. Now I am understanding it is very complex. And the more the research man did, and the number of researchers have multiplied now. And then he declared, instead of admitting his nose cut, what he said, I give my best wishes to all the scientists that your research will never end. That's what he said. Your research will never end. And he died in 2018. So you will find that he was a die-hard atheist also, but he couldn't give an answer, although he promised it 2 decades ago. You will see that. So none of these fellows have any idea of what is this world in which we are living in and why is it created? What is its purpose? Is it meant to be just exploited and enjoyed and die one day like cats and dogs? They have no idea of that. So therefore, here you find Vedavyasa's explanation. He says, Janmadhyasya yataha. There is one supreme called Vasudeva. And he is the creator of everything. Just a minute. So when we talk about coming, why it's not coming? Actually, this one is not working. This one. That's, so where did everything come from? From Big Bang or Big Brain? Isn't it? So Prabhupada calls it as a cosmological approach. Your father of your father of your father of your father, is it a point? Or father of your father of your father is a person? So our Vedavya says it's a person who is Mahavishnu. From him all the universes came, and from in each of the universes he expands. Actually, the Vedic explanation is everywhere there is a person. Like you take a house, there is a person in whose name the paper is there, correct now? You all are living in a house. Is it in somebody's name or nobody's name? Correct now? A house is in somebody's name. You take a state, there is a chief minister. You take a country, there is a prime minister. As soon as you name it, in this world also. Similarly, you'll find there are presiding deities for water, Ganga, Yamuna, Kaveri. Similarly, there are presiding deities for mountains. Similarly, there are presiding deities for the planets. So, there is nothing existing without somebody presiding. You will see that. Like, for example, in India also, the water department, the fire department, education department, all these things are running on their own or there is a person beyond. Correct, no? If they say everything is happening by chance in this world, then why do you need one person to head the department? Correct, no? Even if you go to America, there are hotels which are completely run mechanically without any man. Like you put a card and then it will give you this thing, and then you go inside, you stay in the room, take this. But even such places are pre-arranged by a man, correct, no? They didn't come on their own. They are pre-arranged. They have set it. They have made a system and set it rolling. Even there are cars which are automated cars, but automated cars are also made by a living man. Correct or not? Or automated cars came from somewhere. They are made by a living man. You will see that. Similarly, even if this universe is created, It is maintained and it is running very nicely like a well-oiled clock. It is made by one living personality. That's a whole thing. So that's what he is saying here, Prabhupada is saying here. Bhagavatam answers, gives a direct answer to such inquiry. When you say nature, means whose nature? Krishna is telling, this nature is whose nature? My nature. Binna me prakritirashtada. Prabhupada would catch that word me. Bhumina panadavayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara itiyam me. What is the meaning of me? Mine, he says. And the next verse he says, apareyam itastanyam prakritim vidhi me param. Again, who is that me? These two verses, 7.4, 7.5 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am the owner of material world, I am the owner of spiritual world. I created it, I am maintaining it, I destroy it, and I am the person ultimately. And beyond me, nobody is there. Matta parataram. So, we take the version of Krishna as given by Veda Vyasa, because no so-called scientist with his imperfect senses has been able to give any satisfactory explanation of the creation of the universe or the purpose of the universe. After seeing the ridiculous propositions of the atheistic scientists who have no understanding of what life is, we have rejected them. We have decided to follow on the footsteps of Veda Vyasa, who has given a tangible and satisfactory explanation for why are we put here, what is the ultimate meaning and goal of life, as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, go ahead. And Prabhupada gives an example here, like scientist puts a Sputnik or a satellite, and then he sits in a control room and controls it. Similarly, Lord Vasudev puts innumerable planets in orbit, and then he sits in Goloka and he controls it in a similar manner. So without him putting these planets and controlling, these planets cannot function on their own. If scientists say they can function on their own, then they should not bother about the satellites they threw. They should function on their own. Why should they control it from control room? That means control requires a controller. Yeah.
In the Vedic literatures, it is said that the absolute truth personality of Godhead is the chief amongst all living personalities. All living beings, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant, are individual living beings. And above Brahma are even other living beings with individual capacities, and the personality of Godhead is also a similar living being. And he is an individual, or as are the other living beings. But the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Living Being has the greatest intelligence, and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable person will easily accept this argument, but there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vyasadeva, however, at once accepts the supreme intelligence as the Parameshwara. He offers his respectful obeisance to the supreme intelligence addressed as the
Para.
Or the Parameshwar or the supreme personality of Godhead. And that Parameshwar is Sri Krishna as admitted in the Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Sri Vyasadeva, and specifically in this Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that there is no other Paratattva, Samambonam, than himself. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto.
Yeah. So here Prabhupada is saying that there are many living entities, small and big, in this world. Like we see tiny ants, then we see small birds, then we see cats, dogs, we see even elephants, lions, more mighty. But all these animals, if you see, they are subordinated by one man who has subdued all of them. You will see that. Man has even put lion in zoos, or even an elephant. So, amongst all the creatures, man has been seen to be the most mighty with his intelligence with which he could subdue them. But then above man there are demigods. And among the demigods there is Brahma, the chief one who lives the longest duration of life. So, but Prabhupada explains here that Beyond all these living entities, there is one supreme living entity. He is also a living being. Therefore, that was Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bahunam, Yovidadati Kaman. There is one supreme and plural subordinates. So, and he is endowed with oceanic intelligence, and we are all endowed with minute intelligence. So we can do like a swimming pool, but Lord can do oceans. We can put a satellite, but Lord can put Jupiter, Saturn, huge planets like that. We can create a mercury bulb, Lord can create a sun. We can create a dome light, Lord can create moonlight. So you will see that whatever we can do in a small way, Lord can do it in a much bigger way. So Prabhupada is proposing that here. And then he is saying that devotees of the Lord with their own eyes, they have seen Lord's great creation and at once can surrender to that supreme intelligence which has made all these things possible. Of course, the stubborn atheists would never agree and they will go on ranting with their own foolish and false conceptions of what the world is. But Vedavyas, he at once accepts the supreme intelligence. So one point comes here, that everybody in this world speaks anything based on whom they have heard and based on what they have put faith in. Like for example, one boy came and asked Prabhupada, Jiddu Krishnamurti says that don't accept any authority. You find out truth yourself. So the Prabhupada asked the boy, then why should you accept his authority? He says don't accept anybody. That means you are accepting his authority. So who is he to tell that? Is he God? He is not God. He is one of the living entities. Then if you are taking his word as the final word, that means you are making him God. And he has got 4 defects, just like any other creature. Then with 4 defects, how can he declare a verdict? Don't listen to anybody. And also he is saying that you find out the truth yourself, which is another symptom of his ignorance. Because no jiva can find out the truth on his own, because he has 4 defects. Prabhupada says, inability, insanity, errors and cheating. These 4 tendencies are there in every living being. As we get older, our senses develop inability also. And insanity means we are subjected to illusion in this world. Many times we commit mistakes. Where errors we commit. And also we have a tendency to cheat when we commit mistakes. So with these 4 defects, he is telling you figure out the truth yourself. That means he doesn't have clue of what is he talking about. He just didn't hear in Guru Parampara. So he's simply bluffing. So therefore, we should not take the authority of such self-made leaders who don't refer to the Shastra. One should not hear from them. So therefore, we should know, if I want to know the truth, ultimately you cannot cook the truth yourself. You have to know which source to accept. Should I accept Vedavyas? Prabhupada says there are 2 types of Mahajans. One type of Mahajan is spiritual Mahajanas, like Vedavyasa, like Brahma, then Narada, then Vedavyas. This is one type of Guru Parampara. Then we have Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada and all that. Another type of Mahajan is Darwin. Prabhupada says false Mahajans. They are atheistic Mahajans. So if you will see in the entire world, either people follow the true Mahajans or false Mahajans. The choice is yours. Whom do you want to follow? We can actually follow the true Mahajanas and go back to Godhead, or follow the false Mahajan and create a ghastly future or future for ourselves by going to hell. So therefore, here Prabhupada is saying, logically he is presenting, and the world has seen tiny living entities. All of us are living entities. Similarly, the Supreme God, the Supreme Intelligence we are talking, he is also a living entity. Natve vaham jatunasam, natvam neme janadhipa, nachaiva na bhavishyamaha, sarve vayamata param. Krishna says, my dear Arjun, myself, yourself, and all these kings, we all are eternally individuals. We were individuals in the past, present, and we'll be individuals in future also. Krishna says that to Arjun. So, he has established the individuality. Then go to 15.7. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta. The word Sanatana means the jivas are all eternally part and parcels of God. They will never merge into God. In case they merge into God and become one with God, Krishna would say that they are not part and parcels. Me and they are non-different, he would have said. He didn't say that. He says they are my amsha and they are eternally my amsha. Part is a part, whole is a whole. So when you refer to the Vedas, the clarity is so high. It's like switching on a tube light in a dark room. You cannot have any ambiguity. So therefore, we accept the Veda Vyasa's authority regarding the source of everything. And then the last part of this paragraph, he says that, Lord is called Parameshwara, the supreme personality of Godhead. Like Madhusudan Vachaspati said, Krishnat Param Kimapi Tattvam Aham na jane, he said. Actually, he was a Mayavadi all his life. Towards the end of his life, after studying all the Vedas, Puranas, and Vedanta, he came to the right conclusion. So much so, even our Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glorifies him for finding out, coming to this right conclusion, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So you can wait till the last breath you take. At that time, you may say that, now I accept Krishna is God, but there's no enough time to do devotional service. At that time, better you accept in the beginning only, correct authority. Then all your life you have time to do devotional service. So I will stop here and continue with this in another class. I'm going to go like this gradually. In different places, I may be taking this series of classes. But one of my goal is read the purports of Prabhupada and elaborate, especially special purports, which some of the purports have so much deep meaning. Give some illustrations, examples from Prabhupada's lectures and make it lucid.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
I will miss further programs here. I have an appointment at 9 o'clock. I have to rush today.